How's everyone doing today? Is everyone alive and well? Let's see how things are going. We're telling your followers to start a video. Charlie, how you doing? It's good to see you today. Jared Allen, how's it sounding, guys? Look at that. It goes Charlie, Jared, Tally. This is great. Just one by one. And let's see if you guys are watching. Let's get a mic over here. All right, there we go. No sound. Is there no sound, Johnny? All right, guys, let me try that again. That is odd. Damn it. And let's see if it's working now. All right, guys. Well, let's see how it's working. There's sound. All right. Well, thank you very much over there in YouTube land. Jared, is that working better? Charlie, is that working better? Are we in, guys? Tally, there we are. Yes. All right. Fantastic. If you guys are in YouTube land or Periscope, give me a message. Let me know it's working all right. It seems that it's sounding good over in YouTube land. We'll see if Mod General Jen is available today. Lee Ken, how are you doing? All right. Well, everybody's here. This is great, guys. So I don't know about you guys, but for myself, I had certainly a crazy week. I had a 6-hour marketing meeting on Wednesday. I had a dentist appointment yesterday, the second of a two-parter of a deep cleaning. Ugh. However, I'm doing much better. Thank you, guys. All right. So I wanted to talk about quite a few things. So I guess we will go ahead and get to Charlie asked, did you survive the dentist? Yes, I did. As I always do. As you get older, the dentist becomes more and more of a worry. You never know what you're going to hear, what they're going to find, what's going on. But because I hadn't been very diligent on that when I was younger, I go every 3 months now as they're taking care of stuff and making sure that as I grow to a mature age that I will retain healthy teeth and gums. So that's what we're working on. Smile Please 16 has joined. Welcome to the show. So yesterday, guys, I had brought up this idea of the X Factor and developing it, finding it, cultivating it so that you are able to tap in to basically what I like to call your superpowers. And I call it your superpowers because superpowers are usually for a lot of people, they are powers that we discover within ourselves that we can lean on when times get tough. These are skills that are developed, much like your X Factor. Your X Factor is not only certain skills, but it's a combination of skills and how those skills work together to give you an edge in business, love, and life. This is why as you get older, as you tend to learn about yourself, know your strengths and weaknesses, you can tend to put together maneuvering in this world much easier. Why? Because of the lessons that you've learned to be able to turn on and off certain switches that give you an edge. So if I was to tell you exactly what your X Factor is, well, then I think all of us, upon knowing what that is, would go out and start strengthening or leaning on it immediately. But it's not one thing. It's a combination of things and how they work together and how you use those combinations of traits that you cultivated to be able to work to your advantage. And so there's not a thing that is the X factor. It's a combination of things. Now, how do you develop the X factor that is inside you? The X factor can only be developed and cultivated through challenge, through struggle. It's not a switch you turn on. You build it. It's like a muscle, but it's a combination of traits and skills and thoughts and ideas that give you an edge. The more you struggle in life, and persevere through those struggles to see yourself through, the more X factor you get. Absolutely, Charlie. Charlie says making mistakes will help. Of course, making mistakes will help. Making mistakes gives you opportunity to grow. Here's the best part of this. All of us are living in the information age where we can have all the information we need to learn about a subject. So for instance, Charlie, if you were going skydiving next week, you could start looking up everything that you would need to know about skydiving. That doesn't mean that you have any experience in it. It means you read the book. It means you read the article. Actually doing it is going to expose weaknesses that you have never seen before. Why? Because you've never been skydiving before. You don't know how what your emotional response is going to be to going skydiving. I'm a clairvoyant, Charlie. Well, or either that or animals is hacked your computer. So through these experiences, through putting yourself in tough positions, you begin to learn about yourself. That learning, that understanding of your emotional response is going to help you cultivate your X factor. You can also cultivate your X factor in putting yourself in front of challenging emotional material or reading difficult books, putting yourself out into the great unknown of anything physically, mentally, and emotionally. So at 46, obviously somebody who is into self-development, I throw myself into a lot of things that I probably have no business doing or being at. But I do. But my answer to things of the great unknown is usually yes. I will do it. I'm in. I don't even think about the response anymore because I know what I stand to achieve by throwing myself into the mix. When I was younger, I used to find excuses in order to avoid those situations. Now I accept them wholeheartedly. In fact, I say yes to things only to realize the trouble that I've gotten myself into later on. It's like, I'll say yes now, I'll figure it out later. That's how I ended up getting involved in running. I hadn't run since Corona hit. However, I was running on a weekly basis. Sometimes I would just jog out and knock down 15 miles for the hell of it. Why? Because I was in that mode. Once I was in that mode, I wanted to go into uncharted territory. I wanted to go into the great unknown. When you're running, when you're jogging, it's easy to go into the unknown. All you have to do is to continue running until you haven't run that far before. And then guess where you are? You are somewhere where you've never been. And when you're somewhere where you've never been, you're learning. Do you ever notice when you're traveling? You ever notice when you're traveling that your conscious brain is on and you're more tired than you've ever been, but yet you really haven't done anything? Maybe you were on a train, maybe you were in the car and you realize, I hadn't done anything today. I hadn't been to the gym today. Why am I so exhausted? Because your prefrontal cortex is turned on. Your prefrontal cortex is burning energy. Why? Because everything is novel. Everything is new. It is mapping the terrain. It is bringing in information that it needs because you're in the great unknown. When you're in the great unknown, your body gets worked up because it doesn't know how to protect itself. There is a survival mechanism that is being kicked in. So anytime that you want to challenge yourself, you want to tap into your X factor, you have to move in the territory that you haven't been before. You can do that easily. You don't have to travel outside the country. You don't have to travel outside your state. All you have to do is become a tourist of your own town. Have you ever done that before? Have you ever went to the museums in your town of where you live, or decide to experience a part of town that you've never been to before? You're in the great unknown. Prefrontal cortex is kicked on. You're mapping out territory. You think Tally's going out on a run with the General Jen? I love coffee. So, tapping into this X factor, you have all of your life to tap into it, all of your life to revel in it. This makes it difficult for young people today, as they just think that they can just read the article or read the book. You know how many employees I have interviewed who quickly let me know they've read all the books? In fact, we have heard that so many times that AJ and I have an inside joke. Oh, well, they've read all the books, so they know everything there is to know about what we're doing over here and how human behavior works. And most importantly, you know about yourself. Hippie the hills. Hey, I saw that picture that you posted of India, of through a corridor in the mountains. That was utterly beautiful. Great pic. So reading all the books is great. You have the information, but reading all the books has done nothing to actively get you engaged in your X factor. That X factor is your ticket to an unfair advantage in an unfair world. Why do I say it's an unfair world? Because that's just the way life is. Nature is random. Nature is so random in its makeup. And because of that, of course, there's going to be things that are unfair. That's how nature works. In fact, you want to talk about unfair? Guys, we just had a global pandemic, a global pandemic that has swept over the world. So talk about what's fair and unfair. Is it fair that a global pandemic has put us all in fear, has given us anxiety, and put us in a position where all of our economies are shaky and teetering at best? No. Life's unfair. Somebody mentioned yesterday, murder hornets. You know what we got this week? A dust cloud from Africa, from the Sahara, that is blowing across the ocean into the southeast coast of Florida. A Sahara desert dust cloud. Is that fair? No. It's the randomness of nature and to maneuver through the randomness of nature, you're going to have to develop your X factor because life is not fair. Life is Mother Nature. Guys, Mother Nature is the proverbial bitch. She is unfair. She has a temperament. She angers quickly. We need to be at our best and to be able to maneuver through it. This is why self-development is such a cornerstone and a fun aspect of life. Why? Because as we continue to develop ourselves, we continue to learn how to use more and more of the tools that were given to us. You don't even know what tools you have at your disposal until you begin to learn about them. And that's what's great. Talk about fair and unfair. Some of us have more tools than we know what to do with. But that's the point of it. That's chimp tech as we know it, right? Low floor, very high ceiling. I think Tally says she's been called a tool before. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say about that. Find your way into the unknown. Find your way into challenging yourself weekly. That's how you develop X Factor. It is a journey. It is not a switch that you flip. Thank you, James Taylor 20. I really appreciate that. So here's another thing I wanted to talk about with you guys today, which is they had been talking about TikTok, and somebody seemed to be able to backwards engineer the app. And what they found was a cornucopia of data tracking and info tracking services like they've never seen in any other app. Now, I don't really want to talk crap about other governments, but China hasn't been very forthright about a lot of things since this pandemic. And then they sprang this app on us, and it is completely encoded with spyware, data retrieval, and your kids are using it in spades. Yes, Tally says China owns TikTok. Yeah, they do. It's insane. You know, if you read 1984 or any sort of dystopian books, and you learn that not only is every human being going to have a tracking device, what's even worse about it is not only do we all have tracking devices, we asked for that. We paid for it. we paid thousands of dollars for the tracking devices that we're going to happily wear everywhere that we go. I mean, you want to talk about manipulation. We asked for it. Charlie says, my sister too. What is that? Your sister is also on TikTok? China owns Zoom as well. Yes, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. China owns a lot of tech. So yesterday, after my dentist appointment, I was in Studio City, and I had asked the dentist what was the closest coffee shop. He gave me a few recommendations, and I had mentioned to him, was there any locally owned coffee shops? Because I've gotten to the point where I want to, if I can help myself not give any more money to corporations. I've always felt empowered to be able to vote with my dollar. Unfortunately, you're just not able to escape it altogether. I wish the technology that I used was locally owned, but it isn't. However, thanks to everything that has happened in the last few months, I am going to make more of a conscious effort with my voting dollars, especially with everything that is going on. To know that the algorithm in which your children or yourself is being programmed through social media, and we understand how real that psychosis is. I even used that terminology yesterday, which is social media psychosis. While knowing that they're in control of the algorithm, why would a government who has not been forthright with information to a global pandemic that they are probability theory highly likely to be responsible for, and yet we expect them to play nice with the technology that is in all of our phones? Guys, this is where I talk crap on Gary Vee. How many of you guys watch Gary Vee? Gary Vee's an entrepreneur. In fact, he was very inspirational to me as I got started in being an entrepreneur. But he keeps yelling at everyone to get on TikTok. I'm at a point where I think enough government intervention in my life is at a point where I don't know. I just kind of feel stupid about it. That's how I feel about it. I feel stupid about it, about giving more and more information to these companies so they can manipulate me with any narrative that they want. Ugh. We're not only are we paying thousands of dollars to put to have and own the tracking device, we're eagerly signing up to have our own narrative of the world being crafted to us. No. You craft your own narrative and you use the technology as the tool that was designed to be. Don't allow the technology that we're having to tell you how you should maneuver through the world and what this world is like. They're always going to side on the aisle that the world is a dangerous place and the only way through it is to use their app. That's what the more time that they have of your attention on the app, the more money they make because the more data they're collecting. So build your own narrative and use the apps for tools. I know it's difficult. I myself get in trouble with it all the time. Your Adventure says less tech, more better. Yes. Here was me. Let me do an impression for you guys. Here was me this morning going through the trending topics of Twitter, finding things to talk about. Nope. Can't talk about that. Nope. Can't talk about that. Well, I don't even know what the hell that is. Nope. Can't talk about that. I certainly can't talk about that. Now, you want something interesting to talk about? Let's talk about that. Why is everything that is trending on Twitter something that I'm not allowed to talk about, or that somebody somewhere is going to have a issue with, and that I get to hear about it? Because it eventually, well, first of all, I don't want to talk about politics on this show, except in broad strokes, because, well, one, if you want talking heads about politics, there's better places to go. And two, I'm just not that, I try not to make it a habit of talking about shit I don't know about. But outside of that, everything is fear-based media. And if I don't want to talk about fear-based media because I don't want to get caught up in the cancel culture stuff, but it's also at a point where I can't speak frankly about certain things because of the preconceived preconceived notions that media has put on these topics. Remember, if you are watching this, you enjoy our content because it has helped you in developing yourself. It's a self-development show. It's a self-development Instagram. It's a self-development Periscope and YouTube. I want everybody to live better lives, myself included. It's why I got into self-development in the first place. What comes with self-development is empowerment. To improve yourself, you empower yourself. What I have found out in my 15 years of doing this line of work is that there are a lot of people who don't want you empowered. They don't want you to find your X factor. They don't want you to empower yourself. They don't want you to detach from analog thinking that they are supplying you. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want you to go to them to hear about what's going on outside, how you should maneuver through it, and what things you should buy to help you maneuver through it. That's what they want, your dependence on them. How many of you all have been in a codependent relationship? I have. They're not fun. They are toxic by nature, and they are a closed loop system that depends on one another to perpetuate it. Codependent relationships are just that. They're toxic relationships. If you get into a codependent relationship with any of these apps, you have a closed system that perpetuates itself on your dependency back and forth. But guess what, guys? Do you think these large tech corporations or any of these corporations really fuel themselves from just maybe your dependence? No, a collective dependence. That's what makes it work. For them, for you, they're going to tell you what to think, they're going to tell you how to act, and they're going to tell you what to buy. You know who else tells you how to act and what to think? Dogmatic religions tell you what to think and tell you how to act. I don't need a dogmatic religion to tell me how to think and tell me how to act. I will use empowerment and self-development and the value that I want to bring into the world and the data that shows me that being a high value person in my community affects the world around me for the better, helps everybody else, and helps myself. Charlie says, to not forget about your show is, for me, a great way to end my working day, and at the moment to toot my stuff in my desk and send my last client out of the treatment room. Well, right on. I am glad. All right, guys. So if you want to continue developing, cultivating your X Factor, well, check out the Art of Charm Communication Accelerator. It has all the best bits for influence, persuasion, connection, and networking from all of our live training programs, online training programs, and expert guests from the Art of Charm podcast over the last 15 years. It has all of our best stuff. You can find the Art of Charm Communication Accelerator in the link tree in the bio of Instagram, Twitter, or in the description of YouTube. Tally says, great show, John. Well, thank you, Tally. You guys make it great. When you guys show up, I show up. You see how that works? Talk about a codependent relationship. This is the best codependent relationship. I need you guys, right? If you guys show up for me, then I'm going to show up for you guys. That's the deal. In fact, I will I will juggle and dance and tell jokes until you guys show up. I was thinking the other day how much fun we have every morning. Rocks, China listens to all conferences. Imagine that. Yeah. You know what's funny about this, guys? We keep hearing all these things about certain voices being censored or canceled because they are dissent voices from the mainstream narrative. Do we need proof of this? Or is it an easy, observable behavior that we can all see? It's easily observable. And I will tell you, the dissent message, the dissident message isn't one of hatred or fear. That's their message. The message that they don't like is one that empowers you, the individual, to think autonomously, to act on your own, and to create your own space in the world for you. That's the message they don't want. It's not conservative. It's not fear. It's not hate. It's empowerment, because they want you dependent on their information. But if you are able to make up your own mind, think for yourself, and behave in a manner that allows you to be a high value person that lifts up others around you and creates a world around you that is amazing, then you don't need them. Those are the voices they don't want people to hear. And this is why I get paranoid. Why? Because I want you to be your best. I want to empower you guys. I want to empower the world. Screw all this social media psychosis garbage. All right. I got to go. I will see you guys Monday. Check out for your development of the X-Factor, the Art of Charm Communication Accelerator, all the best of influence, persuasion, and networking from our online programs, live training programs, and expert guests over the last 15 years. It is awesome. It is great. Let's talk about it. I will see you guys on Monday.